On Cloud Stratus 1. So this is a shoe I have run about 50 miles on, and it is your standard trainer. It's the first edition, so I think now we're on the On Cloud Stratus 3 or 4. So this is a couple years old, but I think for a first edition shoe and for a brand like On that has been really just exploding out of nowhere, it's a very good start, and I think that they've only gotten better with it. I hope so, from what I hear. I also just learned that On Cloud's brand name is just On and not On Cloud, so that's interesting. But yeah, so we're gonna start with the upper here. The upper has this more plasticky feel to it. It's not like you're flying it. It's definitely more rigid, and you have this little extra soft like plastic layer, and then you have an inside foam almost. So you have almost 2 to 3 layers between you and the outside of the shoe, which I think is very good. It keeps your foot protected, it keeps your foot, stable and whatever else and comfortable. And I think it's still very, very breathable for a shoe. I think the Flyknit might be a little bit more breathable for sure. But I actually feel like I also build up less friction in this shoe when I'm running. And my feet stay a little bit cooler in these, which is interesting. This is your standard trainer for On, and they have a couple of those now, similar to the Nike and its Pegasus versus whatever other shoes. But this is a first edition shoe. It's a hit to me. And again, with the upper, it has a great tongue. I like the laces. You have to make your own little runner's knot there if that's an issue for you, but I don't think it is. I gotta say, I think this is one of my favorite tongues on a shoe. And I just like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. And yeah, I think that's really it for the upper. It's durable. I think it feels more durable than your Nike shoe, like the Nike shoes I have or that I've covered in a previous shoe review video. And yeah, I just like the more durable, firm feel of the shoe in comparison to, let's say, the Infinity Run, which will be my direct comparison for now. And you see this even in the midsole. So the midsole, a lot of people complain like this shoe falls flat on energy return. It's, some people might say even has a bad roll through. And, the biggest complaint, especially with the Stratus, is the name's On Cloud Stratus. Why doesn't it feel like a cloud? Why does it, feel heavy? Or why does it feel like I'm running on a freaking ton of bricks and I don't have any softness to it? I disagree. So I think this is a really, really good start. And I think that the shoe has definitely gotten better throughout its, future iterations. I actually like the shoe the way it is. I think I like the firmness of it. And even in the midsole, it doesn't feel, again, the weight is 10.7 ounces. It doesn't even feel like it'd be above 9. It's a really good standard trainer, and I use it for my speed days. I don't use it for long runs. Long runs, I agree. I think something like the Infinity Run definitely has more cushion, so I would stick to my Infinity Run for the cushion aspect. But I like these for my easy runs. I like these to take it up a notch in speed because you just feel more stable in the shoe. Your foot feels more intact with the shoe. It feels more locked in, and I like that feeling. In the Infinity Run, I could fan out my feet, and I would feel like I am almost slipping around in the shoe a little bit. This, I really don't feel like that happens at all. I think this has better grip on the road in general compared to an Infinity Run or really any of my Nike shoes. And I think it has a great roll through. I think, whether you're running on the perfectly paved roads or track, or you're in a rough road, or even semi-trail, I think the shoe holds up as far as traction and grip very well. Toe box, like I said, a little bit more narrow than the Infinity Run. However, I think it really does work well with my foot shape at least. And I can't say that for everyone, but it locks you in a little bit more. I think the heel is a little bit more wide than the Infinity Run, which I also like because, your arch is important. You need to match kind of foot shape. A lot of shoes nowadays, especially your big three like Nike, Adidas, even Puma, their shoes are made for style. They're not made for the natural shape of the foot. So this might be a good direction. It might be by, accident, whatever it may be, but I do like it. Again, it's their usual like hex pattern, basically, and it gives you that cloud, and you can see it has pretty good squish there. So in comparison to Nike, it's still not very bad at all. Your standard Infinity Run is also about 160 to 180 right now in any other shoe. Your Invincible's like 180 to 190. Your Pegasuses are all 150, 160. So, it's all in the same ballpark. And the fact that On does a lot of off season basically. So they drop all the last season shoes in collection, and you get a really good discount, whether it's 30% or 50%. Like I found shoes on there that are originally $200 for $90. I think On does a good job of pushing that through. I like the heel drop from here, down. I think it has a good roll through, and yeah, I think, as far as energy turn, I don't feel like it falls flat. I do feel like it channels the energy almost, where it does absorb it, but you're not getting too much push back through in your next step. So I definitely see where people come from with that. But I do think, it's not this horrible brick that people make it out to be. Again, I think it does a good job of absorbing the energy, and I think it has a good roll through. I just don't think you get the exact bounce back through it that people expect. Overall, 7.5 I would rate the shoe. I think I rated the Infinity Run around an 8. So I would give these a 7.5. I think my biggest thing is for a $170 shoe. Again, I'm going to cut it some slack because it's the first one of many, let's say. It's the first Stratus that has released ever. They're a very, new brand. It's just an average shoe. It's an average trainer, and I think it excels for the fact that it's the first of many. I think it is, other than that, average across the board. I think the weight, average, price, pretty average. I would like to see a little bit, like $10, $5 less for a shoe like this. It's, again, standard trainer. There's no carbon. There's no, I don't even think Peeba, nothing. It's just standard shoe. So, you're not getting some insane technology that's, 40 years old and being researched and blah, blah, blah. It's a new brand. You get what, 170 is a lot. But I think it's just simply average. I think it's a really good shoe to have in the collection, especially in comparison to Nike shoes. I think sometimes my feet and my body can get really sick of the Nike shoes and that repetitive feel that it kind of has across the board. And I think this brings a new element to that. So I switch my shoes throughout the week, depending on the runs that I do. Like I said, I do these really on speed days because I like the more firm feel and the support and the stability that I do get from the shoe, and that I feel like I could pound into the ground and push through better than what I can in an Infinity Run. But the Infinity Run I would take, let's say, on a long run because it has so much more supported feels and cushion. Cushion is the word, not support. So I do rate it a 7.5. I think it's a little bit worse than the Infinity Run. But I think it feels really great on your foot in comparison to your other standard trainers. I don't think it excels at anything specifically. I don't think it excels at stability. I don't think it excels at energy return or cushion or anything in particular. I just think it's a good start. And I think it's actually just a great start to a brand. Again, some of the highlights would be the fact that it's 10.7 ounces, but it doesn't feel that way. But that's also a drawback, because why does a shoe like this need to be 10.7 ounces when you don't feel like you're running in, let's say, a Brooks Adrenaline that is super, super stable, that's only about, 0.3 ounces heavier. So, it might feel a little heavy to people, especially on long runs, but it doesn't feel heavy to me. So that's my opinion on that. If you're gonna keep making this shoe, again, the recommendation, I love the overall feel of everything on the inside. It's a nice stiff heel as well, you know, nice tongue, nice laces. I would maybe add a extra heel lock. That's one. I would maybe improve the cushioning aspect of this, you know, midsole, but everything else feels really, really good. And I wouldn't mind really keeping the shoe exactly how it is, just adding more of a cushion layer to whether it's the insole or the midsole. Again, the bottom, I feel like I can run on really any surface, and I feel pretty good. Maybe even close this middle part up. You could probably get some pebbles or stuff stuck in there, and that probably won't be so fun, stopping on your run to get those out, but I really do like it. So that's my opinion of the On Cloud Stratus 1. 7.5 out of 10. It runs 10.7 ounces, and it runs at $130 in the off season. So you could probably find it cheaper now. It's been out for a few years. But yeah, it's one of my favorite shoes in the collection, and we're going to go run a tempo today. So stay tuned for that next video. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.
You just have to endure.